Now, all right. Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm one of the co-chairs for SIG Docs. You are joining the SIG Docs community meeting for this Tuesday, the 3rd of October, the Day of Unity here in Germany, a public holiday where we celebrate the East and West coming together as one country again. So I've just been chilling on my couch with my cat, who's just here next to me.
Oh, baby.
Also, we've got Ray Lahano, who's on the call, another co-chair of ours for SIG Docs. Ray, you and I can tag team on notes if you like for today as well. That would be great. I've popped the notes into the chat here where they are showing up. But what I want to go through just very quickly are a couple of points. Firstly, as a Kubernetes community meeting, we abide by the Kubernetes Code of Conduct here in this SIG, which generally means we want folks to be respectable to one another and kind. And what that means is not only just in this meeting, it's also in Slack, in our PRs and issues, just generally how we communicate and collaborate together. And if you have any issues at all, we've got information of the Code of Conduct contact information there. It is conduct@kubernetes.io. You can absolutely contact those folks with any issues that you might have, and you can remain anonymous to the rest of the community with that. So feel free to use that service, and the hardworking folks in the Code of Conduct will help you. Okay, let me I should share my screen so people can see stuff. One sec. Alrighty. Okay, so today's agenda, as I mentioned, the Code of Conduct. But firstly, what I want to do, we've got quite a few people joining. I would love to hear from folks who are new either to this meeting or to SIG Docs in general. If you wanted to introduce yourself and say hello, feel free to unmute and do so.
I'll say hi real quick. I'm Xander. I think I know like a lot of people on this call, but I have not really joined the SIG Docs call previously. And so I am looking to increase my involvement, and yeah, happy to be here and see y'all.
Thanks, Xander. Thanks for saying hi. Anyone else want to say hello? You also, if you don't want to unmute, that's completely okay. Feel free to do so in the chat. Say your hellos there as well. That's completely fine. We don't want to put anyone on the spot if they don't want to be. And you can also jump into this Slack channel if you wish at any time that's convenient to you to say hello and introduce yourself to the community. We're a SIG that gets a lot of new contributors, so we try and make sure that we are as welcoming and open as possible, and so that you know who you can reach out to if you've got questions or comments. One last call for anyone who wants to say hi.
Hello. I was contributing a bit to Docker Shim back in the days, so looking forward to continue to contribute to docs.
Perfect. Hi. And Augustus, is that how you say your name?
Yeah, Augustus.
Augustus, perfect. Hi, thank you so much. Yeah, welcome. Thanks for saying hi. I'm looking forward to any questions you have or contributions you'd like to make. We're always willing to have folks help out. Okay, with that being said, if anyone else wants to say any hellos or put any comments in, feel free to do so. We're going to move on with the rest of our agenda now, specifically certain updates and reminders that we have here in the SIG. So for SIG Docs, we have this great little let's say roster of what we call PR wranglers. That's those of us who are approvers in the SIG. We take turns each week to try and kind of step up and push through contributions through PRs that are coming through and issues that are coming through as much as we can. We get a lot of contributions in our SIG specifically, so we try and keep the number down as best as we can. And this week's PR wrangler is Tim, one of our tech leads, and we've got Gaurav, who's also shadowing Tim. And the shadowing process is something that any one of our contributors or community members can do. If you want to see what PR wrangling is all about, you can definitely just jump into the Slack or reach out to the specific person on the PR wrangling roster that you'd like to shadow, and they'll be able to take you on. It's a very do as we please kind of process in the sense every approver has their own unique way of pushing contributions through, so it's not going to be the same each time. So feel free to jump in if you're interested in shadowing. The road to approver is a little bit of a longer one, but knowing what PR wranglers do is always really great and can help with your own contributions and reviews in future. Next week's PRM Wrangler is Chiming, another one of our tech leads. And then finally, the following week's PR Wrangler is Taylor, another tech lead for SIG Docs as well. So again, Wranglers, any approvers on the call, please make sure you're knowing what your schedule is. Click on the link there in the agenda to look at those PR Wrangler shifts. Okay, with that being said, let's move on to the rest of the agenda now. For SIG Docs, we always jump into the latest release and the updates that we have there. And so with that, for 129, I'd like to hand over to Kat, our release docs lead, to give us a brief update.
Hello. So we are coming up on the enhancements freeze, at which point we are ready to go ahead and start assigning keps to all of the shadows. Start chasing people down for docs PRs. Branch syncs are also about to begin. So Ray, I'll be chasing you down for that one. But additionally, I have 3 of my shadows on the call with me. So if they could say hi, that would be great. If they don't want to say hi, that is okay too. But you'll start seeing updates from them in these meetings instead of just me. I want to make sure that everybody knows how to do every aspect of this. This is probably the last SIG Docs meetings that you see me speaking on, because they've been very good about scheduling themselves for the rest of the release, which has been lovely. So we are currently green. Real work for us starts after enhancements.
Awesome. Thanks for that update. Just in case any of the shadows want to say hi real quick.
A couple of them are saying hi in chat, looks like.
Oh, yes, there we go. Hello, hello. Great. Awesome. Thanks, folks. And thanks, Kat. That's great. We'll look out for, we'll have release docs correspondent next time, and whoever is popping the update in there can put their name in. So that's great. Awesome. And then our release comms lead is Carol, but I think we've got Kristen, who's part of the meeting as well, who's given that update. But Kristen or Carol, if you're there, if you wanted to jump in.
Sure. So our status is currently green. We met end of last week as a team to discuss all the different processes and more detail, and also getting some suggestions to improve things going forward. Carol was kind enough to divide up the caps amongst all the team members, so we can start sending out messages on each cap regarding the blog participation. And then we already have 3 blogs opted in. There's a link to the chart there. And Carol was able to partner with the enhancements lead on the major themes, and there's a link to that there too. So that is our update for this week.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks all. Sounds great. For those who are new on the call and you're hearing the acronym KEP, it means Kubernetes Enhancement Proposal. It's the way that we get new features kind of pushed through the project that have a lot of work in. Yeah, you'll be hearing that acronym quite a lot in the updates like release docs and comms. Thanks, folks. Thanks so much. Looking forward to everyone's participation, shadows, and leads for the next few meetings. Okay. Any other further kind of questions or comments on 129 before we move on? All right. Thanks, everyone. I popped in here, although I put your name on it, Ray, from the last meeting. Oh no, I'm looking ahead. Actually, Ray, this is your agenda item here, the PR to add the weekly checklist. Did you want to speak to that if you wish?
Just open to reviews. I've CC'd lots of folks on this. Goes back to the 128 retro, where it was decided, or it was suggested to have a checklist or weekly checklist as like a guide on how to give status. So I opened a PR just a few minutes ago on that, and that's tied to an issue as well. I'll just jump into the next notes. And all those dates and all those percentages, they're kind of placeholders. So if any suggestions, please feel free to comment on that pull request. And next topic, there aren't any questions. I do have a YouTube playlist on some of the docs tasks, and I'm prioritizing the ones where it is documented in the handbook, but it's not it's visually hard to comprehend because it needs access to Netlify, and not many people have access to Netlify. So I've added some. I did videos on how to do branch syncs, how to handle merge conflicts as well. Also doing some videos on the Netlify side as well, in case myself or maybe people who have access to Netlify are traveling. I've had that issue come up twice in 2 recent releases where I was traveling on those days. So I want to make sure that we have that knowledge down somewhere. So video seems to be better media for this, just because it's hard to describe on what to do in Netlify as well, since not everyone has access to Netlify. So just wanted to make a YouTube playlist, and this is ongoing. I have another video as well coming up. Hopefully I'll get done this week, and so yeah, I'm gonna continue working on this playlist just to until the rest of the docs tasks are documented.
Cool, thanks. Kat, you've got your hand up, please.
Ray, on the weekly checklist you're doing, I am also working on like a timeline long checklist of like week by week tasks for docs in a HackMD. Do you mind if I pull some of this into it?
Absolutely.
Okay, great, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, Mikey and myself also had a HackMD, but I think we should just put all of this in the one place. So yes,
we used the ones that you had with Mickey as a place for notes. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll check the HackMD and I'll see if I could add anything from the HackMD onto the in this PR.
Okay, I'll send it to you as soon as it's done.
Cool. Thanks, Kat. Thanks, Ray, for opening that up as well.
Yep.
And yeah, of course, feedback from all kinds of folks who've either been involved in docs or currently involved in release docs as well would be really great. Okay. And also big, I just want to again call out the playlist that Ray's put together. Really, really great. On the topic of, you know, folks who have Netlify access, that's something definitely that Kat will want to chat about in terms of who is going to be your kind of approver buddy on the day around like the, you know, website freeze and so on. Given time zones, it may not be suitable for Ray to jump into this time around. So we'll see how that goes. Unless you want to get up really early, Ray, completely up to you.
I actually might be in Europe in that release.
Oh, okay.
Well,
We'll see.
Well then, you may be very lucky and still work together. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Next part of our agenda, we usually go into issues and PRs that we want to look into, but I don't see any listed on our agenda. So a quick call out for, does anyone have any issues or PRs they'd like to raise in this meeting today?
Yeah, I think I would like to, I was reading the checklist about the docs, and I can consider the same dates, the same deadlines for open a pull request for the blocks. For example, say a week before the docs pull request placeholder deadline, I can consider the same dates of the docs for the blocks, or what will be the best date?
Just to check, Carol, are you asking if using the same kind of deadlines for release docs would be worthwhile to use also in release comms? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, for the blocks, the open for the new features of the blogs, what will be the best deadline?
I think the blog deadline is usually after the docs deadline. Like we have considerably more flexibility on the deadlines for blogs than we do for the deadlines on docs, since the docs have to happen on release day and the blogs are going out for, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 weeks after release. So I don't think you have to be anywhere near as rigid as docs is with deadlines.
Yeah, definitely not. I think one thing that is somewhat missing that could be worthwhile is a deadline for having a schedule of when the blogs are actually going to be published, because the publication of like when, you know, what dates are what and blogs are what they're going up, that's kind of not always set in stone sometimes. So if you wanted to set a deadline around when do you have the blog schedule done, and again, as Kat mentioned, after a lot of those docs deadlines is very likely a thing there, but yeah, I agree with Kat for sure.
Yeah, I also want to plus one on having the blog schedule done first, and that could affect deadlines. And like Kat mentioned, blog deadlines or comps deadlines tend to be after the docs deadlines because they tend to release after the release is actually done. So there's more room.
Okay, so we don't have a deadline for the blogs. It could be even after the release that someone can create a
Yeah, I
pull
think
request.
there are some deadlines for the blogs in terms of like opting in. But since the blog deadlines could be 2 weeks after the release, and one blog deadline might be the day after the release, so they might fluctuate on the deadlines when they actually need to be ready for review. We've had blogs go out as far as like 4 weeks after release as well, so it's the range is pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
need you should have a hard deadline for a placeholder PR being open, and once all placeholder PRs are in, once that deadline is passed, assign the dates for each blog, and then your shadows kind of just have to keep an eye on those PRs and make sure that work is actually happening in them, which may mean doing work after the release is officially over. Unfortunately, comms does have work after the release because of that. But yeah, like they don't need to be like ready to merge on release day. And in fact, like most of them aren't ready to merge on release day usually.
Yeah, but what I would suggest though is it is true that the release comms has work to do after the release, but like Ray said, sometimes there's a blog that actually doesn't get released maybe up until 4 weeks after the release. But the work on that blog doesn't mean it gets done up until just the day before, although often that is the case. But maybe we do want to actually set some kind of deadlines or information so that there isn't going to be always work done so far after the release for the comms team. If we want to set deadlines of, if you want to blog around this release to come out, maybe the deadline is 2 weeks prior, 2 weeks after the release is when you need to know, for example. But that's something that I think can maybe be a bigger discussion point for, other folks who've done maybe release comms before and what they think. Nate might have a opinion on this actually.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into the notes with the right Google account so that I can share the where is it? Can I paste there? Did I paste it? No, I did not paste it. So there is, there it is. So there's actually a project board that we can use to help manage the dates and whatnot. That might be helpful. I don't know if you've already got some stuff around your own dates already, but I'd like to use this a little bit more in terms of trying to schedule when things are happening, both with the releases and the sort of regular run-of-the-mill blog posts that are going to be coming up as well. So this might be a useful, and then if you see the upcoming articles tab there, I think Natalie, you were, yeah. If you go to upcoming articles, you can actually, I'm not sure if, I'm hoping, and maybe Ray, you can, or Natalie, you can speak to this. Does the comms lead have access to this? Because we can actually update those dates, which might be helpful.
Honestly, this would probably be helpful in the actual release project board. And Carol, I can look at my notes from when I ran comms and see when I set those deadlines if you want an idea. Because we had something like 25 or 26 blogs the time I ran comms. It was absurd. So I can see how far back I set deadlines, if that's helpful for you.
Okay, thank you. I think I got an idea that we don't have an official deadline and we need to work to push
Yeah.
all the blogs after release.
Yeah, I would also stress that definitely in the release project board, but this would also need to just exist also separately because of all the other blogs that we track in here too.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, for sure, I think it being accessible there as well is a really great idea, for sure. Cool, thank you, Nate. And Carol, you might want to click on this link to see if you have access, and if you don't, we can make sure that you get it as well, because that would be really beneficial for you to make sure you've got access to that.
Okay, yeah, I have access.
Perfect. Okay, great. Then we're set. Awesome. Okay, any
Yeah.
more questions? Oh, sorry, Nate.
Sorry, do you have edit access or do you have view access?
No, I have access. I can see
Awesome.
it.
Cool.
Okay, great. Any more questions or comments? Okay, last call for any issues or PRs that people wanted to chat about before we moved on to the next agenda item. All right, sick. We're going to have a really decent length meeting today. All right. On the discussion points, I've popped one in here just as something for us to discuss. But for SIG Docs, for folks who don't know, we have an APAC meeting that happens every month. The Asia Pacific, sorry, meeting that we do for our contributors that aren't in time zones that are friendly necessarily to this community meeting. However, given that we do have a lot more contributors out of APAC, I wanted to put a questionnaire in here of, should we be changing the timing of this meeting, or would that be a hindrance or something not so good? I will state that the last APAC meeting actually was very well attended, but then the last 4 or 5 weren't. So this could be an interesting trend that actually is then going positively, and maybe this question is redundant, but just wanted to put it out there in case anyone had any strong feelings about possible timings of this meeting either staying the same or changing. I'm hearing nothing, which means there's no strong opinion either way. And that's good. That means that we're going to keep it the same for now. But I wanted to put that out there for folks who do feel like they can't join these calls very regularly. If you're watching on the recording, for example, it's something that you wanted to be a bit more accessible time-wise for you, please jump into the Slack channel, or you can ping me and Divya and Ray directly if you want to. But I just wanted to put it out there as making sure that this meeting is servicing as much of our community as possible. So we'll keep the APAC meetings on. They happen every month on the 4th Wednesday of every month. And so for folks who can't join this meeting regularly but still want to join in on meetings that are going to be worthwhile, the APAC one is also a really good place to jump into. Okay. Our last discussion point area, I've just kind of copy pasted what was in our agenda from last time from Ray, just as a reminder of the current GitHub discussions that we have going. We do have the generative AI discussion that folks can jump into there, and we also have some localized contribution work that has now moved to an issue so that we can get started on some of that work. But just pointing folks in the direction of places where your opinion is being looked for and is worthwhile adding to, feel free to jump in and join the conversation. Okay. Any further comments on those GitHub discussions? All right, now we're up to the agenda is done. Does anyone have anything else that they'd like to add for today's meeting? Going once, going twice. Okay. I think we're good for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for your participation and for making this a quick and great meeting. Big thank you again to our release docs and comms leads and shadows who are coming to the meetings and giving us updates. It's really great. And for generally us constantly working on improving that process, we're really appreciative here in SIG Docs. And thanks to everyone who joined new, and likewise, again, if you wanted to come say hello, feel free to do so in the Slack channel, SIG Docs. And for that, we'll say goodbye here. Bye, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Have a good one.